For week 3, we have 2 topics. The first one is designing for knowledge and facts, and the second one is designing for skills and problem solving. And for the readings, we're going to go back to our textbook, and from there we're going to read Chapter 2, Observe Type Activities, and Chapter 3, Do Type Activities. We also have a couple of articles which will be helpful when we are doing the self-evaluation using the Merrill 5-star instructional design rating. And the first one is entitled Just That. The second one is First Principles of Instruction, and they are both available on the readings folder on the website. So what's in them for you? When you look at Chapter 2, Observe Activities, you'll see that you'll read about all the different types of observe activities that Horton recommends, and they are presentations, reading, stories, and field trips. And about each of them, you learn about the actual type, subtypes of the particular type, when and where to use, how they work, best practices, how to extend them. So you'll get a lot of information about each of these different types of observe activities. Not only that, but Horton goes so far as to tell you for this particular type of objective, these are the types of observe activities that work well, and maybe they do work but not necessarily as much. So you have a table on page 128 that explains each of the different types of objectives that you may have. These are the kinds of observe activities that will work best. So keep this one in mind as you decide which observe activities you want to use. Then the same goes for the do type of activities. You're going to see the different types of activities there are, and that includes practice, discovery, and games and simulations. And then about each, you'll see information about it, the different types or subtypes, examples, variations, when to use, how they work, and best practices, and how to extend those types of activities. Again, now on page 162, you have a table that tells you for the different kinds of objectives, these are the best types of do activities that you can use. And this is very useful information. So if I was to apply this to my own example, an introduction to CSS, if you'll remember, my first topic was CSS basics. I want to introduce the students to the basics of how to do CSS, and that is the tags and the selectors and the properties and brackets and the grammar on how to write it and the punctuation marks you have to use. So if my objective is, and I really want them to just be able to remember this type of information, I'm going to stay at a knowledge level. When prompted, the student will correctly define all CSS concepts. And so for that, I think I'm going to go with really good information that I found on the web, and I want my students to read about this using the resources that I'll send them to. And for the do activities, I want to do a drill and practice. I really, really want them to be able to remember all these facts. They are facts that they're used over and over, and so the first thing they have to is commit to their minds what each of those means and how they're used, etc. So then my next topic is actually going in and formatting using CSS, and in this case it'll be formatting the text in all instances of the P tag. If you remember, I scaled down my project as well because I was saying I was going to introduce how to format all instances of any HTML tag, and that was going to be a lot of information. So I'm now not only focusing just on the P tag, but also only on formatting text within P tags. So I've narrowed it down as well, just as you went through that process. And so my objective is using an online CSS generator. Notice this is my condition. In my case, I'm happy if the students use an online CSS generator to use this. They don't have to write everything from scratch. This particular course was targeted at teachers. And as you know, teachers are not very highly technical. So you want to provide aids for them to be able to do a CSS. And online generators were a very good help for this. So using an online CSS generator, the student will format the text in all instances of the P tag with 100% accuracy. And I'm using the highest level of accuracy because if you know a little bit about CSS, you know that if you missed a semicolon, if you miss the bracket, if you have a typo in one of the properties or selectors, the browser is not going to display the information the way you intended it and you got it wrong. So there's no tolerance level for CSS. The browser is not going to tolerate any typos here, and that's the only reason why I'm targeting the 100% accuracy. Note that you decide on your criteria based on the nature of the field. So for fields that allow for some level of tolerance for error, then you can lower down that accuracy level. For fields that don't, then you're stuck with a 100%. So that's my objective, and then for that particular objective, I'm going to have a presentation. I really want to go through the process of how to use that online CSS generator to format the text in the p tags. And then after that, I want to give my students hands-on practice. And notice that I want them to use the generator to format text. This is a performance task. So I aligned what I asked them to do with that. I'm not asking them to answer a test on, what are the steps of formatting, what are the different ways of formatting. No, I'm asking them to actually go in, use the CSS generator, and practice. And so the rest of my objectives are actually pretty much the same, except I'm going into more detail in terms of formatting just a single instance versus formatting a group of instances. Versus formatting just the content within, say, a particular p tag. And but what I want to do is walk them through using the CSS generator for each of those types of activities. And then I want them to go in and use the CSS generator to format a single instance or a group of instances or the content within one particular instance of the p tag. So from then on, I'm going to keep on using presentation, and then I'm going to keep on using hands-on practice.